Dave will
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning and call the meeting of the March meeting of Properties and Zoning to order. Roll call. Dave Valley. Here. Don Nicholson.
Here.
Bill Palin.
Here.
Marvin is on Zoom. Marvin, are you with us? Okay, Marvin, it looks like you may need to try reconnecting because it doesn't seem Zoom is seeing your mic. So if you could try to maybe reconnect, that may resolve that. And while you're doing that, we're going to move on. Visitors' comments before we get started. Anybody on Zoom? I'm not sure what the... Greg Saunders, is that you at the bottom? Oh, 998. Greg, you're muted. Okay. Anything for it right now?
Amber's out in the hall. Should be.
Not right now.
Here, Charlie, anything? Thank you. We'll go ahead with claims.
Motion the meeting minutes.
Yes, thank you.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Approval of minutes.
There was one little at the top from last month. It was Vice Dave Bowers. Open meeting.
Say that again?
Oh, I see. It says vice chair. The very second line of thing is vice chair Dave Bowers. It should have been chair there. You're too close to it. You don't even see that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean. I also have, you have on your desk, I believe, copies of the Solar Ordinance Ad Hoc Committee minutes, and we would like to approve them here. So if you could just take a minute and take a look at those. Goes over the February 26th minutes. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the ad hoc committee.
I'll make that, Dave.
Okay, in a second.
Also. I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. So we'll start with claims with animal control.
Under animal control, first claim, Virginia Gray with $65. Next for a U.S. bank, we have received $365.77. that picking up?
No.
Next from Johnson Oil for $74.64. Next one's Wind City Energy for $261.99. Verizon for $98.74. For Republic Services for $42.01. For Direct Energy, for a current total of $275.13. For claim for Terry Zinke for $26.88. It's mileage to transport a dog to shelter, 48 miles round trip. For Amboy Veterinarian Hospital for $52.59. That's it.
And total, Dave? $1,628.70.
I think-
1628.70.
I think there was a couple missed, or I didn't hear them. City of Dixon for 44.25 and Cali Deacon for 162.50.
Yep, they were in there, Terry.
They were in there, yeah, but I didn't hear them announced.
Oh, I got them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they were.
I didn't
Pretty sure.
either.
Gailey Deacon for kennel care, $162.50.
No, I don't remember that either. City of Dixon, and that one stuck together. I did not, we got a City of Dixon for $44.25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Together, thank you. Okay, Kelly Deacon, yeah, it has to be in there. It's,
The same total.
his payroll timesheet for $162.50.
And that is included in the total here of
Yeah.
1628.70. And nothing for pet population?
Not this time.
Okay. We have maintenance now.
On the maintenance, first against Lee County, CenturyLink for custodial, circuit clerk, and rabies telephone for a total of $505.72. Direct energy for the new courthouse, old jail, county old jail, and 4th Street property, Red Brick Road Tower, for a total of $7,864.74. Next is against for Verizon for $49.37. Johnson Trucking for $51.66. CenturyLink for Lee County Telephone for $1,097.77. Home Depot for $164.67. Aramac for $443.57. For Bunnell Industries and snowplow parts for $92.76. For Rainer Door to repair Sallyport, $660.50. Nicor Gas for the new jail for $2,388.04. For Electronics Inc., for $348. For Johnson Tractor, snow blower parts, $88.06. For Nicor, $150.11. It's for the old jail. Wind City Energy for the old courthouse, new courthouse, old jail gas for a total of $5,380.45. For Rainer Door for $194. For CenturyLink, Lee County Telephone and Supervisor Telephone for $944.73. Grace Hardware $1,185.95. For Dixon Water for $174.83. US Bank with receipts for a total of $1,038.72. Johnson Oil for $685.45. For Bradford Supply, $541.62. Bunnell Industries for $535.91. For Johnstone Supply for $324.48. That's the last of them.
For a total of $24,987.20. 24987.20.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to zoning. First claim is for SBM contract for $249.83. And the next one is a claim to US Bank with receipts for $16.90.
Total of $266.73.
Next in insurance, Sauk Valley Insurance, notary bond insurance for $30.
$51.06.
I got extra things here.
Notary bond and stamp. Total of $51.06.
I have nothing here but the Kylie. Huh? I only see the one. They're like a copy with Kylie Rankin. We take a copy here. They all say $30. That's it.
We'll come back to that after lots here.
Okay, we're in lots. First one is Morningstar Media Group. It's an I-39 account, an I-88 account, and a lots account for a total of $41,029.12.
Got 37,648.20.
The bill, bill later on in that listing is the $3,000 bill for lots. That's part of that $41,000 total that Dave just referenced.
Okay, the 3,380.92 is on a separate line item.
We split it out by Greyhound at the very top, and then the rest of the lots system is referenced after that.
9-1 bill for $3,380.92 for a lot account.
Yes.
That is included in the other two for the 40.
Okay.
Next, Ace Hardware for
Wait a
100.
minute, hang on. So the 37,648.20 is included in there.
Yeah, that's got both of them.
Okay.
Next one I have is for Ace Hardware for $147.36. And then for First Aid, fire extinguishers for $990.17. Next is Bellini's Custom Welding for $286.89. Car Oil Rust Automotive for $125. Against leak. Vendor name, City of Dixon. That's what you have next. All right, we'll put that in here next. CenturyLink for $64.64. Comcast for $459.
Oh, we got the City of Dixon.
Now you got the City of Dixon. Okay, for $7.15.
Now Comcast.
Now Comcast for $459.61. Let's see. The county. Oh, it is Comcast. Okay. This is a different vendor number. So yeah, $130.82. Yep. Culligan for $29.86. DC Computers for $764. Direct Energy for $1,379.51. Effect TV for $1,657.38. Farley's Appliance for $92.50. Foxter Solutions for $1,350. Hughes Services for $31,835.87. Kunis Country Auto Group for $646.78. Relief for $211.14. Lee County Treasurer for $920. Another one against the Lee County Treasurer for $374. Midwest Transit Equipment for $385.98. Napa for $635.99. Pest Control for $55. Procom Systems for $117. Rayner for $273. Republic Services for $107.91. For RC Service, Betts Auto for $106. Sauk Valley Media for $1,060. Toyota Financial Services for $367.17. US Bank. Yeah, I got a cover sheet of receipts for a total of $1,034.50. Verizon Wireless, $891.73. WEX for $10,171.05. Windy City Energy for $1,214.33. How did we stick together? WRHL, WYOT radio for $285. And WIXN, WRCV, and WSEY radio for $1,160. That's it.
$100,008.07. Breakdown here, lots claims and lots Greyhound. Totaling that.
Yes, let's go back to insurance.
Insurance. Is there another one then? Okay.
What, Kyle Rankin?
Yep.
$30.
Yep.
So I just disregard this.
I think it was November. So I just put it on the last.
Three bond for Kyle Rankin, $30. Yeah, I did.
Thank you. Oh. No capital improvement or capital projects expenses or lots capital.
See Marvin's with us.
Yes, he is. Can I get a motion to approve claims?
So be.
Motion.
Thank you, Marvin.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Down to department head reports. Greg Saunders for maintenance, building and maintenance.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine, thank you.
Okay. I just have a few things for department head reports for building and maintenance. I met with couple of contractors, maybe 3 contractors Friday. So they were scoping out the bid project for retuck pointing and sealing the old courthouse. Seemed like everybody, was able to answer some of their questions. Some of them didn't need any questions answered, so did quite well. I know our staff has been down to like 50% here for a while because of COVID and some other sicknesses. I still have some person out that we don't know for sure if she's gonna be coming back or not. She's on disability right now, so I might be looking to hiring a part-time person till her time period to come back is up, and then maybe move them forward to a full-time position. I have to contact this. It was in one of our applicants, and I will have to still contact her to see if she's interested in something like that. Tried best, and they didn't have any takers at all on the position. So trying to go back to my other maintenance applications for janitorial that I have in my file. So other than that, that's about it. I think with this weather, I'm hoping that Mother Nature straightens out now. We've been really struggling with plowing the snow and trying to keep the ice down. So other than that, I think that's all.
Thank you, Greg. It has been a difficult winter. We appreciate all that you've done to keep us able to get in and out of our buildings and in and out of our parking lots. It's much appreciated. Planning and zoning.
I can do my spiel now, or I can wait until.
Let's just wait until we go
Business?
on the agenda.
Sure.
Unless you have anything beyond the agenda items. Okay. Animal control, rabies, pet population. Terry.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna bring some more ordinances next month to committee. We're just having some specific issues. Wanna put those in an ordinance so that people can't say. We had an excitement last month with livestock. We did our first impound of livestock. So that was interesting. Extra work on kind of my part, but anyway, that's been taken care of and they've been adopted and we're all set to go. So our phones are working in our building. Want to let everybody know that they are working and there's lots of buttons.
Lots of new buttons.
But can I do my kennel thing now?
Yes,
so I
please,
could go?
please do.
Okay.
Let's do that. Terry, there's a handout you should have regarding the inside kennel upgrade. This is a budgeted project for this year under capital. The budgeted amounts are at the top. For the kennel piece of it, it was $16,360. With steel prices up and things like that, if you take the lower part, the insulated guillotine doors do not need to be part of this right now. We're concentrating on just the inside for right now. That takes the total down to $17,504, and the budgeted amount is $16,360. This will give us some additional kennels, all new kennels and gates, and the floors elevated and sloped properly to the drains, and then we'll epoxy them for easy cleaning, good cleaning. So any questions on that? Anything else you'd like to share, Terry?
The only thing that I had is, I know it's on finance and executive. I didn't know if it needed to be voted to actually be.
I think since
That was
it's,
my only question.
I think since it is over the budgeted amount, we will go ahead and recommend it and just take it through finance and make sure everybody's okay with that.
Okay.
So I'd be looking for a motion if everybody's to recommend this to finance. Okay, thank you. Second? All in favor?
Question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, while we're on. Let's see, you looked at, getting panels or cages. And, what, do you have a manufacturer or something like that one?
They're going to be concrete walls.
Concrete wall.
Yes.
Left and right are concrete and then a gate in the front,
Yeah.
stainless steel gate.
Yeah. And the
That was
con,
one of my questions, is that one of the best things for keeping animals separated?
yes.
Mhm.
And since it's concrete, we have to cover with epoxy or something because it's so porous. It'll keep bacteria in.
I haven't got back to you, I'm sorry, I had some problems here. But finally talked to my son and stuff, and he handles animals all the time, with dogs especially. And you're looking at, so the concrete work includes the walls, you're just looking at the 10 gates here.
Right.
Okay. I should do the numbers, it wouldn't hurt me. Okay, approximate, so you're looking at 10 cages. Approximately how many dogs do we usually have in?
We have had a full 8 kennels plus prior. So
Once
It-
in a while, then you say.
yeah,
But for the most part, we're quite a few under that, for the most part.
yeah, I would say 3 to 4 at any given time. But as long as it's getting done, it would be nice to have those extra kennels. Especially if we bring a dog in, I know it's going to still be kind of secluded, but we could always put one on the end.
Yeah, there's certain dogs that need to be
Yeah.
secluded and certain dogs that.
Correct.
I just, as I was talking to my son, he says, as long as you've already got all the licensing, you've got the fire extinguisher systems, everything hooked up to the, I mean, we're a licensed boarding kennel.
We're not boarding.
You know, but
We are through the state. We are,
it's almost the same licensing.
well, we're licensed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it includes the fire alarm. Is there a system why we couldn't board other animals? That's a major.
So I have boarded before a couple times. I do not encourage it because as of right now, I've gotten stiffed. I have a dog there right now that I don't think the guy's coming back. And we've decided now that if we do something like this because someone's moving or, you know, whatever the circumstance, they will pay ahead of time.
But what's coming out of my next question?
Yes.
He says that is a big problem.
It is.
The dogs. And
Yeah.
then adoption fees, are they paid by a new owner, or what's the?
It is. There's no revenue in adoptions. Never has been.
Not a major revenue at all.
No. I mean, it's zero. We actually lose money on adoptions.
Question is, why do we keep them for, and, you know, it is a cost, whether you euthanize or adopt.
Right.
But boarding, he says, is a possible income.
The county is not in the position to board dogs. We are strictly in animal control,
Right.
not licensed
Licensing
to
is
board
exactly
dogs.
the same.
We're not in the business of boarding dogs.
No,
No, but we have all of these expenses. Why don't we use an extra income? Or because we have so few, our expenses warranty to even keep the few dogs to death? Would we be better off privatizing? Somebody who's going to keep a lot more and can fluctuate these in.
We're statutorily required.
I guess I'm confused by your question.
We used to board them out. We
No,
had
there's never been boarding.
not boarding, but we used to not have an animal control building. We did not keep the animals in Lee County.
Yes, we did, but we had to rent a facility.
But-
We rented from a private facility.
Well, River Ridge, Ashton Vet,
Right.
whoever.
They had, what I'm saying is they already had a staff that they were gonna work with their other dogs, they had all the licenses and everything else. Now we've got this little bitty kennel, is it the greatest feasibility for us, as long as we already have all the staff and everything else?
Okay, hold on, right there, because I don't.
But
I do not have the staff.
Are we better off?
Yeah.
keeping it? This is what I'm just,
I think we need to bring our discussion back to the motion that we're talking about. We're talking about the approval of the kennels.
of the kennels, but the kennels,
Not here
we
to,
build a whole bunch of kennels.
we're just replacing the kennels that we have and adding two.
Yes, correct.
They're not any longer serviceable, or
Yeah.
they're nearing
They
that.
get rusty
yeah,
stuff, they get
yep.
out of service. I completely
Yep.
agree with that.
It's a planned and budgeted activity.
It's you know, it's budgeted, but it's another 17,000. We did the parking lot with 20-some thousand. It's very expensive for this building. I'm just putting together.
But things have to be upgraded periodically.
Yeah.
We've been
Right.
out there over 6 years now. So nothing's been done except previously. The parking lot has been done, yes.
Right? But
And
you-
now the
You still
kennels.
have the exterior runs, the doors and stuff for animals. I'm just trying to look at,
Sure.
do we keep throwing money at it, or are we to a point? that we need
It's a
to-
planned expenditure. I mean, that's really a budget discussion, not for where we're at, I would say.
We can plan everything in the world. We are gonna run out of money.
Up and down this road.
Well, I don't think my department should be one to be the less
So I'm-
of
we're- I'm
throwing
just
money out there.
Looking at all departments. And it's like,
Right,
they're
but
the only ones we
This
have.
is,
the animal control, we went up and down that road about 6 years ago when we purchased
I
that.
was not, yeah.
I know you weren't on the board at the time. We ran all the figures and what we were paying River Ridge and the inconvenience and the boarding on site. And I think we're well ahead to do that. We're paying, animal control is one of the few departments in the county that kind of pays for themselves. With tickets, with fees, with
thing,
dog
Well, we'll
tags.
have to say fees, whether we're boarding, there's animal control and then
Right,
there's boarding of animals.
But we don't have to pay, I don't think we should board. That opens up a whole can of
Well, we
worms
are
for
now.
liability.
So basically,
And we are-
boarding now, we're making kennels to board.
Okay,
Almost
no.
two different things.
So
not
boarding
boarding.
is not, so it's impounding, it's not boarding.
It's
There's a
impounding,
difference.
Boarding, it's a control of the animal.
Correct, but there's a difference. When you're impounding an animal compared to boarding, you're just doing somebody a favor
Right.
because they have nowhere else for their dog to go.
So the maintenance, the licensing is for control of animals, not for, because that animal is for control of the animal.
Boarding implies keeping the animal for somebody for a fee. We're not doing that. We're compounding that animal because it poses a
Right.
problem to
But
society.
we're responsible for that animal. We are responsible legally for that animal at that time on. And, it's the same liabilities, same healthcare, the same licensing. Care of the animal has the same licensing, whether we call it two different names, it's the same thing. How do we care for them? I'm glad to hear that they're gonna be concrete walls. Some dogs are better off with wire walls, but many need that separation. So, but I just, you know,
it's good to look at periodically in the budgeting process, I believe, but I think at this point,
we're just keeping spending money, and I see it
well,
now,
again, Terry brings up.
and we
that-
know we're already looking at the future, and how many, and is there any way we can make some income off of it? We already have almost all the expenses out there, or are we really, is there any such thing as maintain care for a few animals that can be financially functional? It's one of those things where
Yeah.
too small is too few and too big is, too small is keeping a few people part-time, doesn't work good, where if you get big enough, there's just that edge. And
Understand.
so my question is on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Terry. And then Greg Lotz.
I'll make it brief. At the very top of my report, I did some highlights. Certainly feel free to read through the entire report, but just some of the highlights, you'll see that we're getting closer to 1,000 rides per week now. Last 2 weeks, we've had 938 and 961, which in the greater context of things may not seem like a lot, but it's about a 40% decrease from 1 year ago. And ironically enough, we're going to see a tipping point here very soon, come the end of the month, where last year's figures are much less than this year's figures. So a side note, we have been contacted by WTVO Fox out of Rockford regarding a possible basically sharing of information, which I shared our database of reports, which you get every month, that graph on the backside. They wanted to know basically how the pandemic is impacting public transportation. I said, well, we've been tracking it for the past year or plus. So that information has been shared with that TV network. So you might see some additional exposure regarding lots and just overall public transit in this region. Working on FY 2022 contracts. That's why there's at least 3 documents coming before the county board this month that regularly get approved as part of our application, which the soft deadline for those contracts is April 1st. And I believe we actually have a little more wiggle room. We can always submit that ordinance at a later date if we need to, just as part of that overall package. And another note, we are doing operator audits. Don't know if we've really talked about this very much in the past. We have been doing some programmatic and financial requisition audits. We're just catching up with the first and second quarters. Last week we did Village of Progress. As you can see, we got Rock River Center, LCCOA, Hub City, as well as Kreider, all on the docket for this week to basically have a conversation, to look at the requisitions, to pull some of the financial pieces that they sought reimbursement for through IDOT. And we'll do it for the last 2 quarters of this year as well. It gives us a great tool to basically have a conversation about what they're doing, any questions that they can push back on as well. Basically a way to keep things running smoothly. And speaking of running things smoothly, both of our sets of phones are working right now. And phone calls are still coming in on the old set of phones, so hopefully we'll get that porting of the phone numbers over to the new set very soon. But right now we got 2 sets, and so we're happy. They're both working.
Echo.
Any questions for Greg? Okay, proceeding on to old business. Food pantry fire alarm system update. I believe because of the shortage of staff, that still is a hold item. Jump in here, Greg, anywhere you would like. The old LEC demo and site preparation for future use, that shovel ready grant application has been denied. So that will fall off. I guess what I would say is with the new COVID round of funding, there may be some other things to come. Regarding the lamb VoIP upgrade, the old, got a tickle. The old new courthouse lots, animal control are working. And I think ported, other than, that's the first I've heard of anything that wasn't ported. I do know the county highway we're waiting for a port date for the county highway. They are a different provider, and so that is going to be different. But I believe that switchover was I think pretty good. Not any major glitches. There's some tweaks that are expected. The other thing that will be going on in the next few weeks, I would expect by the end of the month-ish, plus or minus, that the VoIP, the land Wi-Fi upgrades for the old courthouse and the new courthouse should be completed. That equipment is all installed, and it was a matter of We wanted to get the phones up and running first, and then we'd go after the Wi-Fi. So that will be, they'll be programming those and getting them activated. New carpet updates. If you've had to get a chance, take a look at the first floor of the old courthouse, the assessor's office conference room, the new conference room there, the old treasurer's office pit is coming along very well, and that will be getting carpet here shortly.
Yeah, I think, Dave, I think I'm gonna schedule that. Ryan, our new hire, is finishing up the painting today. So I'll be getting a hold of Carpet Land, and we'll be getting that installed. We had some changes we had to make to retrofit for Wendy's desires for outlets and video and stuff. So we've got that completed now, and so as soon as he gets trim painted, we will be getting Carpet Land in there and get it in the carpet installed.
Very good. Also on old business, lots, Mass Transit District Advisory Committee update, Greg?
As I
Anything
have as part of my report, the committee actually, or the council, met January 28th. Coming out of that was a consensus to just develop an ordinance, which currently Brian Brim is working on. I sent him along a resolution that was the basis initially, and he's going to basically work on that ordinance that will likely be before both the Lee County Board as well as the Ogle County Board, maybe in May, June of this year for their consideration.
Anything additional on the Greyhound single audit?
Again, this is just a requirement from IDOT, and Greyhound sent their report, which I believe their fiscal ends, I believe, at the end of this month. So it was more of an awareness that we exposed, obviously, this committee to, and then it was, I believe, the recommendation also coming forward from this group to share with the full county board and just make them aware, more of an awareness than anything.
Okay, thank you. Item G is the ad hoc committee to review the new solar ordinance for enhancements. That committee completed its work, and you have a copy on your desk of the recommendation. There's been some slight tweaks in red. Nothing of the main areas of interest for both developers and for the non-participating adjacent landowners have been setbacks and screening, and none of these changes involve that. Dave Anderson had some tweaks on the road use. We can just go through the first part. First page is just a definition. We added a definition for applicant. And Dee and Alice, also feel free to jump in anywhere. If you flip back to your next red, looks like a item E on the 1, 2, 3, page 6. The typo 7-0, 8-0, 9 struck a permit fee and added the, again, just added the numerical equivalent of 30 there. And next page is explaining that monies remaining in the fund would be refunded back to the SCS at the end. And on the next page, the yellow highlight, what's the significance there?
That is an area that was added but never discussed by the ad hoc committee.
Okay. And this came from just other ordinances. Yeah, good practice. So this is a matter of making sure we establish the ground cover. So this is the ad hoc committee's recommendation, along with a few things we've added, or I would say added since, in terms of definitions and such. I'd be looking for a motion to pass this along to executive.
Yes.
Okay, and a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Any discussion?
Yes. Hi. Before this gets passed on and you fill your motion, I'm here both as a county board member and as a interested party, and it's a little, whether you intended it or not, Mr. Chairman, you kind of hit on the crux of my problem with the ordinance as it's being presented to you today. Developers were there participating in the development of this ordinance, and also non-participating landowners. The one real important piece that wasn't there was participating landowners. I was on part of, you guys well know, I was part of the committee in the beginning, and then there was an objection because of my participation of a petition that was currently under review by the county, and I stepped back. I still participated as a private citizen, but unfortunately I was not able to attend the last 2 or 3 meetings. So I had gotten a copy of the ordinance as it came out of the committee last Friday. Now I don't have the additions or the corrections that you have in front of you. So as I go through some of the points that I have issue with, maybe, well, we can just point them out, David, as we go along. But there's some serious flaws in this ordinance, especially in regards to how it treats participating landowners. And I was really rather surprised that these weren't addressed. I don't know what you want to do here, Mr. Chairman. I'm very capable of going through points. Do you want me to do that now? At your discretion, or I can hit some highlights. The comments I'd have are pretty extensive. Sure. Right. So, sure. So start with, if you go to page 2, point E, at the option of the non-participating resident, an 8-foot-high woven wire fence can be a substitute at the boundary of the exclusion zone of every home located on an adjacent non-participating parcel. Except at the boundary of the exclusion zone, all fencing shall be placed at the property line of all our parcels participating in the project. So you're telling participating landowners where the fence is going to be. That's not the way it works. And we spent when we negotiated as participating landowners, we formed our own committee and negotiated the interests of the participating landowners over a 2-month period with the project managers and their attorneys. It's an extensive, excruciating process. This point is where what the committee has done is tried to become a participant in the negotiations, which I don't think the county should be involved in, nor do I think the participating landowners or potential participating landowners want you in. To be clear, and everybody was different. When we had, as far as where the fencing goes for participating landowners, that was negotiated individually by the individual landowners. In my particular case, I didn't want the fence on the property line. I wanted the fence 30 feet off because I wanted the ability to have a 15-foot batwing mower make 2 swipes along that fence so that I could maintain that side of the fence. So that was what I wanted. There were other landowners that wanted other things. So I don't understand why the county wants to come in and tell me as a landowner where I'm going to have a fence. Doesn't make any sense. It's my property. But here in this ordinance, you're telling me where I'm going to have a fence.
The 800-foot exclusion zone is very problematic. And it's problematic from a variety of standpoints, but the nub of it is that 800 foot, and I think there's some lack of understanding on the committee and how they promulgated this ordinance, is that 800 feet is a huge distance. You're talking 2.5 football fields in length. So in the case, so I took, and we're at page 3.ii. So an 800 foot by 800 foot exclusion zone is 14.7 acres. So again, taking my place of where I live, if I was a non-participating landowner, you're taking 10 acres of my property and saying that I can't do anything on those 10 acres. Now, in the case of my house, if you took the exclusion zone at my place, what you end up with is a sliver of property across the street from the house, of which wouldn't be used, it wouldn't really be viable farmland anymore. It wouldn't be able to farm. And then you also have this U-shaped exclusion zone that, again, is not going to be useful for any agricultural purpose except maybe a garden. But what the reality here is, you're setting up the potential of, especially with absentee landowners, where you're going to have weeds and growth to take care of, because in the case of absentee landowners, they're probably not going to want to have to deal with having a tenant come in or try to cash rent a sliver. And so what's going to happen is that maybe it'll be maintained for the first generation, the second generation, it's just going to grow up in brush. And that's what you're going to have. So this is a bad idea. I apologize to the chairman, because I know this was part of what he was trying to accomplish, but what you're trying to accomplish doesn't make sense in reality. It just doesn't. Sure, David.
From your house, this is not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So you have other houses near your property that they have to stay 400 foot from the foundation?
And in the case of the project that I was involved in, I think there was 13 residences that was involved in that. So and of course, David, it's hard. You have to take each one individually because everyone's different. If you have I know it's wasn't supposed to be allowed. We do have some flag lots out there, which makes a mess. You've got homes that are on one far end of the property, but then they've got 4 or 5 acres, other. There's all different kinds of combinations.
These are foundations only.
Sure.
My recommendation to the committee was just make a setback, and then everybody can negotiate from there. Either you're going to set back or they can negotiate closer. But that's only for, once you start panels or something like that. And it's 400 from the foundation. Typically, most properties in the country are 5 acres anyhow, aren't they? 2.5? They got to be 2.5.
See, that's what the 14.7 acres is correct. And what that was a step back. We were over 33 acres. And this was a step back from where we started with the ordinance. Now, what I would say is that's not all, depending on the particular plot that's being considered, some of that is owned by the non-participant. So it could vary widely depending on which particular property you're talking about.
So you could have the case.
Our goal was to try to come up with, and I guess I nudged the committee, or at least voiced my opinion, that I thought 33 acres was way too much. And personally, I was at 600 feet, 300 feet each way. But we agreed to push forward the 400 feet. But I understand your comment. I
Well,
think we're at a
David,
point-
it's a taking. I mean, you're taking my property
I
and you're taking
understand.
the ability for me to make money on my property. And I am,
Well,
and I guess
you use your property as you see fit. This does say where the fence will be and where the screening will be, but that property is usable.
yeah, but you have to take in consideration the realities of what's going to happen, David. And I don't think that's been taken into consideration whatsoever. I think the bias of the committee also, because you had the majority of the committee also was hostile to solar development. I mean, there's no question about that. So you had, and plus the committee came to the approach, not from the aspect of that this was Ag 1 zoning where solar is allowed. They came at it from the aspect that we got to protect people from what? And I kept at, when I was still participating in the committee, I kept asking the committee, what are we protecting people from? And I never, ever got an answer. I was appalled at this cavalier attitude. Now you guys got to understand that as farmers, we work our ground to its best potential, to its maximum extent. I've been involved and have seen neighbors fight over inches. And you guys are coming along with an ordinance that is sweeping acres. It's unbelievable. And I don't think there's an appreciation of what's happening here and the precedent that's being set. Ag 1 is a broad zoning mechanism, of which is a business area. When there is a residence in an Ag 1 zone, it is the residence that is the intruder, not what you're doing in Ag 1. I am conducting business in Ag 1. And there is been this overwhelming attitude and bias within the committee in the writing of this ordinance that turns Ag 1 zoning on its head.
Jim, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying it is, the 400 foot is the foundation. And I've had some issues in the back past here lately and I haven't been involved in it. But I did report to the committee, like, I got 2.5 acres. I can't even put a solar on my farm, my own yard under these rules.
Right.
We get them in the microphone.
Yep.
Yes, because setbacks this big I can't even do them on my own property.
Right.
These are minimum. They can be negotiated with neighbors and stuff
Correct.
like that. I could go to my neighbor and say, hey, can I do this and stuff? So if you have one obtrusive neighbor, it could be a problem. It isn't a guarantee or anything else. They still have the right to negotiate lower than these minimums. And I did not vote on this or anything like this. So, but I just was listening. And
Now, obviously, I'm speaking from my experience as a landowner and also through the negotiations that I had with Dixon Solar. Now, I'll get to what I have a recommendation to help solve this. But David, you make a really good point on this, is that we had the impression, we had the idea from the county board perspective that the solar ordinance that we had operated under prior to November was designed more for the community solar projects rather than the larger scale projects that we've been having come through the county. So there was the expressed desire that we have that in mind. But the thing of it is, you're exactly right. This ordinance doesn't cover just those. This covers all solar systems, regardless of size. There's no size. There is no graduated scale here. There's no minimum acres or maximum acres. To give you an example of how this fails on that point, under Livestock Management Facilities Act, there's a graduated system of what livestock facilities are regulated by the state of Illinois in regards to animal units. units. And they start off from 0 to 1,000 animal units, then go to 1,000 to 2,500. And they are handled very differently as you go up the ladder. We didn't do that here. This is a one shoe fits all ordinance. And it doesn't allow for individual, like if I wanted to join together with and create a co-op with neighbors, I would be under the same cost restrictions and same restrictions as a multi-billion corporation coming into the area. You know, this was, I think the committee was focusing on one particular petition as they were doing their deliberations here. They were not thinking about this from a global perspective at all. To move on to, I'm trying to be recognizing your time, Mr. Chairman. On page 4, the visual screening option shall provide the following options. And I don't know, maybe this, Charlie, I text you on this, that I had some concerns here, is that the applicant, the design, cost of design, installation, and maintenance in perpetuity. I asked Charlie the other day what perpetuity means, and especially in regards, and perpetuity pops up twice in this ordinance. And perpetuity is not a term that should be used in an ordinance like this at all. That reads that as long as the solar is in operation and beyond, perpetuity is perpetuity. This is forever. And
Screening is required to be removed at the end, so it's hard to maintain something that's not there.
well, then why do we have the words perpetuity?
I think we're let's get the substance.
Well, that is substance, David. When you're talking about maintaining something in perpetuity.
That is a major legal substance, yes.
You have to remove the screening at the end. There's nothing to maintain.
Oh, so you're going to tell me that if I want the trees to remain in place, they have to go?
If they're on your land, you can do whatever you want.
Well, that's not the way this reads. So then on the screening, you have point 1 and 2, and then you have this paragraph that says, if the owner of any adjacent non-participating dwelling does not elect one of the above two options, no visual screen will be installed and a one-time payment will be provided as described above. So that you lay out, you can do either or, but then we're going to throw you a third provision of which you get paid no matter what.
No, you have people that don't participate. So you have to decide, what are you going to do if somebody's unwilling or not participating? And from a developer standpoint, putting in a pane rather than putting in a screen is probably preferred.
But you're putting in something that requires a payment. So you have that in ordinance. Maybe the person doesn't care one way or the other because they really don't care about the fence. They really don't care about the solar thing. But you're putting in an ordinance that whether they care or not, they're going to get paid.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
So I could flip it around and say, whether you care or not, we're going to put up a screen. I don't see that it's any different.
Well, you're making my point. Why are you getting involved in negotiations that should be between two private parties?
Okay, I understand your point.
And from what I was listening to the committee doing, it was like, you could get a screen if you wanted one. If you were okay with it, a house back and everything else, you could take just a payment, one-time payment, but that would have to be set in a deed of some type because that house could be sold 10 times in 35 years or so. So the next owner might want the screen.
One-time payment to the owner.
The property, and that takes a long-term deed slash, what's the?
I guess I'm asking, okay, the government's getting in the business of giving away other people's money. I don't get that.
It was
I
supposed
really
to be
don't
paid for.
So then we have on page 5, right after that, the paragraph right after that, visual screening or a portion of may not be required if the SES is not visible to an adjacent non-participating dwelling by virtue of existing topography. This is vague. When I was on the committee, I pointed out that this is vague, language is vague. There needs to be standards built into this because, you know, are we talking about standing on the ground? Are we talking about standing in a second story window? Or are we talking about standing on top of the roof? And so, you have to have an ordinance. I know it's very difficult to try to think about, and I sympathize with the committee because this is not easy stuff. But you do have to have standards. There's legal standards that we have to put into place so that issues can be resolved and people know what they're working with as we do this. This is so vague, I don't know what this means. I have no idea.
Language in the other ordinances we looked at, so.
Well, then they're all got problems.
Understand.
Dave, and are we just gonna do mistakes that other people are doing, or are we gonna try to fix things? This is vague. I have no idea what this means. Okay. Okay, we have on triple I, there's in perpetuity, the word perpetuity again. Then on page 6, point E, application requirements, and there's a couple sentences here that I find very problematic because you're setting into place language that I think is going down a road that number one, you don't know, and number two, it's ill-defined. Due to the unique nature and special requirements of an SES. Well, I don't know what the unique nature is, and I don't know what the special requirements are. It's not defined. And the potential impacts of an SES on adjoining properties and government services. Again, ill-defined. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, through the course of the discussions on the committee, I consistently ask the question, what are we doing and what are we protecting? And I never really got a good answer here, ever. I can put up a fence tomorrow and enclose my property. I don't have to go to zoning. I don't have to do anything. Am I putting an impact upon my neighbor when I enclose my property? I can do it, I'm allowed. It's Ag 1. Put up as many fences as I want. Don't have to talk to anybody.
Well, you do have to talk to me because you
Have
will
to
need a
talk.
permit for that.
You're correct. I'd have to come in and get a permit that doesn't have any cost involved.
Can't put up an SES without a special use application.
That's correct, but
So it's different.
it's
Not the same as Ag 1.
it's slightly different from the
Okay.
aspect that we are asking people, and we do a lot of things within zoning that basically has notice. It's just like what we were talking about. If I build a grain bin and I come in, I need to come in and get a building permit. Now, the real purpose of that is to make sure that it gets on the rolls, that I'm paying my proper due share of property taxes. That's really all the function of that is. We all know that. So what we're doing here really is we're making this out to be something, in my view, my opinion, that it's not. I can build any type of building. I can build a grain bin next to an adjoining non-participating landowner, and all I have to do is run CD and I get my building permit. And it could be a $300,000 bushel tank that's going to completely block the view of an adjoining landowner with impunity. This is still Ag 1. It's Ag 1 special use. It's still Ag 1, John.
So.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have zoning.
That's not true. When most of zoning was intended to move development and have it within the comprehensive plan, because you were changing the underlying nature of the property. In the case of a solar farm, you were not changing the underlying nature of the property. Solar farm can be there for 5 years, and maybe we have cold fusion, a wonderful new energy source, and we pull up stakes, and in the 6th year, I'm farming again. The underlying nature of the property does not change.
What I would ask you, Jim, in view of our time, we have a motion on the floor and we have a vote. What I would say, do you have anything else that we need to consider before we vote?
One more thing,
4 minutes.
and this is with my experience as a township supervisor, and I've been through this twice, and that's your community meeting. Your community meeting idea, although the intent is well-meaning, and I get that, but what you're creating is a monster. And also you're creating an automatic bias going into a zoning petition that I don't think is fair for any petitioner, no matter who it is. Because you're asking almost in all cases, and I don't think Dee would disagree with this statement whatsoever. In almost all cases of a zoning, whether it's special use or whatever, adjoining landowners are going to object because it's change. And nobody wants change, because change is uncertain. I don't know how I'm going to like that. I don't know if it's going to have impact on me. I don't know. And fear gets involved, and people naturally, when they fear something, they're going to object. So I had 2 separate meetings. One was a quarry and the other was in regards to a dog ordinance when I was supervisor of South Dixon Township. And I had I think at both of them, I had nearly 300 people. At the one in regards to a quarry change, I nearly had to call the cops because it just about got out of hand, that much out of hand. Now, I don't object to the community meetings. I think it's a good idea that these guys have community meetings and try to develop and foster goodwill. But that's not what this does. What this does is create, because you're having Dee have staff there, you're making this an official meeting sanctioned and required by the county. That changes the tone. It's no longer a meet and greet that these folks want to have. It changes the tone completely. It's quasi-regulatory. You're having minutes being taken by staff, which is going to go into the official record of a petition. Not only is it going to go into the official record of a petition, and Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, in the case of a zoning hearing is a court proceeding of which people can be held under oath and cross-examined. So you're setting up a meeting that's going to be entered into the record with no cross-examination, no oath taken. It's just going to be a bitch session, and you're going to have a report of a petitioner bringing in where the first thing that the zoning board reads is you've got 50 people that hates everybody and you smell bad. Think about what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other discussion? All in favor?
This, motions to send this to,
Executive.
send it to executive.
I'm sorry. Sorry. One more thing, because I told you that I had a request. One of the things, because the participating landowners weren't involved in this process to speak of at all, we do have an organization which participating landowners most of them are members of, and that's the Lee County Farm Bureau within the structures of Illinois Farm Bureau. I am actually bringing this ordinance to discuss and present to the Lee County Farm Bureau Board on Thursday. What the advantage, I would respectfully ask that this be tabled a month to give them, Lee County Farm Bureau, a chance to have the ordinance reviewed by staff in Bloomington, where Lee County Farm Bureau could come back and have recommendations from lawyers on staff that deal with this. They see all the ordinances that's up and down the state. They would bring very good, qualified and measured responses to the points that I've raised. And you would have, I think, a balance from a landowner's perspective into the ordinance. So that would be my suggestion and request, that you table this for a month and allow landowners to weigh in on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Just a comment is, I agree with Jim wholeheartedly. I think having the landowner perspective was and is important, and I believe the committee benefited from Jim's input. And I guess what I would say is I'm a little sad that you weren't able to attend the last couple of meetings, because those were key. But we have the question. I think my suggestion would be let executive decide whether they table it or not. Unless there's some other discussion, I would call for the question.
Okay with executive, talking to executive on this? Or?
Well, I was planning on, I figured you guys would pass it.
It's up to us. It's not up. Yeah.
We're a minority. We almost need to pass it forward, so.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Arvin? That's an aye. Aye. You're muted. Marvin, you're muted. I didn't hear him. You're still muted. Thumbs up is, there you go.
I say I would like to table it. I don't know enough about this, and I think you need to be fair with the farmers just as well as with the landowners. That's not don't live on the farm. I would like to put.
We're in the middle of a
table
vote.
it and let like Mr. say it. But you guys can do what you want. But I'm going to say nay.
Okay, it's a nay. Thank you to all. I think,
Decision on the vote.
pardon?
What's the decision on the vote?
The vote was 4-1.
Okay.
So it passes on to executive, and I'm sure there'll be robust discussion there as well. What I would say is, having sat through all the meetings with input from all parties, everybody walked away a little dissatisfied, and it tells me we're somewhere close to where we need to be, and we're not going to cure world hunger. So,
can I say something real quick too?
Yes, please.
Just so that the record is clear and there's no idea that there's some type of due process violation from these hearings, these have been open meetings. Anybody that wanted to participate in these meetings has been allowed to participate. Just because you don't show up to a meeting, you don't get to say you didn't get to participate. They've been posted, we've arranged for them, they've been going on for months.
So, back to our agenda.
Dave.
I'd just like to make one point to this committee.
In the microphone, please.
Microphone.
Ed Keith.
Representing National Grid Renewables, I'd just like to thank this ad hoc committee and properties committee for advancing this. It truly is, somewhat painful, and I think Dave, we would agree with that statement you just made on our side. But we want to work in Lee County. I think we've got a pretty good, fair reputation moving forward, and we want to be here, and we want to work with the county board.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Zoning fee changes, Dee?
Last month, I had submitted some zoning fee changes, but failed to submit the actual resolution to the county board. So I will submit that this month. Becky has a copy of it and will be in your agenda to be voted on next week.
Okay. Do we need any action here? It's on executive. Okay, so no action required here. Maintenance and replacement hire update. Greg, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm still here. Yes, we did hire a new gentleman to take over custodial maintenance in the old courthouse. So far, he's doing really well. I think he's going to be an asset to the county. If anybody sees him in the hallways, his name's Ryan Krebs. He's a very nice guy.
I met him this morning. Very good. Next item, old courthouse exterior tuck pointing bid and spec work. The bid is out. Bids are due back on the 12th, Friday. I think the opening is here at the old courthouse at 10 a.m., I believe. So that we look forward to. Initially, we were told last fall that this grant, I'm sorry. Thank you. The grant that was earmarked for this tuck pointing work, $250,000 from Representative Demmer. We were encouraged to be ready to do this work in the spring, and that's what we're doing. We're in the process of working with the Representative Demmer and to confirm that the grant will be available before we actually award this, but the bids will be open Friday the 12th. Animal control, we already took care of, so that takes care of old business. D, down to new business. Got 3 items.
So the Zoning Board of
4.
Appeals had 2 petitions presented to them last week. Petition 21-1559 was heard, and at the request of the ZBA, the petitioner was asked to come back to the April Zoning Board meeting to present a proposal that would attempt to deal with the special use accommodating the current property and having a plan to move the manufacturing and some of the employees to another I-1 property. The Zoning Board of Appeals then heard and voted to recommend to the County Board petition 21-P-1560 for a map amendment on a 6.9 acre parcel along Illinois Route 52 to construct and operate an industrial facility for his business. Coming to the Zoning Board of Appeals next month is petition 21-P-1561 requesting a special use for the purpose to build a self-storage facility at the northeast corner of Greenwing Road and Illinois Route 52 near Sublette across from Woodhaven Lakes. So that'll be on the agenda for next month. Can I just keep going?
Yes, please do.
Okay. In 2019, Big Sky Wind had petitioned the county to repower 58 turbines in Lee County. This petition was approved, but in the spring of last year, Big Sky wanted to change the type of nacelle from a 2.4 to a 2.7 and therefore needed to come back to the county to repetition. Big Sky came back in December, and after 2 months of hearings, a second petition was unanimously approved by the ZBA on February 17th and was to come before the county board next week for vote. But since then, the company is being sold to another company, which this new company prefers using a different brand of nacelle. So therefore, petition 20-P-1557 has withdrawn their petition and will be repetitioning at a later date.
Okay.
And one last thing, it's not on the agenda, but will be on the executive agenda. There was a discussion at the ZBA about scheduling meetings and times. It was voted on, and so a resolution will be presented to executive session then. Executive committee, not executive session.
Scheduling meetings and times for, I'm sorry.
They want to go later, 7 o'clock at night in the summer times and 6 o'clock in the winter.
Okay.
Kind of half and half of the year.
Okay, thank you. And this resolution revising of zoning fees is a duplicate of what was
It's
under.
the same thing. It's just now I have the resolution.
Yep. Ordinance of solar amendments was already covered.
I have a question, Dave.
Yes, sir.
On the Zelhofer petition, 1559, he's been asked to come back to the zoning board with what he will do to make his current operation within zoning guidelines, Steve.
We're trying to make something, he's supposed to come forward with a
Are they
proposal.
asking that we just table or reject this petition here?
No, I'm just saying in the ZBA meeting, they asked to extend it to April.
Table it for a moment.
Sure. I wouldn't even look at it. So
Yeah, right, just, we aren't gonna do anything.
it's being held over, so.
That's fine, because we'll have to forward this probably to executive, but then at that point, or you don't even
Gotcha.
want it forwarded to executive.
Oh, it is on executive, okay. The next items are lots, next three, Greg.
Those are the three documents that I referenced in my report as to basically their requirements of our application for the FY22 application of funding that we're seeking from IDOT. And they're basically standard forms that the county board has reviewed in the past.
Okay. No action here. Okay. And the last item on our new business is membership size of the county board, resolution 05-11-002. This is for informational. Who can cover this?
Had long discussion in ad services on the size.
Thank you.
We had long discussions in ad services. I'm not a member of ad services, but it was discussed. There's a comparison sheet in there as to size of boards. And I think the general consensus was just leave it where it's at.
Okay.
But that's what I got out of it.
That's true.
So what's the resolution? 05-11-002? Gotcha. So this is the old resolution of the current county board sites. Thank you. Executive session. I'm not aware of any executive session. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I got a question.
Yes, Marvin, go ahead.
I would like, John Nicholson, what was decision on, was there a decision made on how many they wanted to have on the board?
Believe the discussion, Bill's on that committee, but the discussion was that we are not that far out of line with other counties of our size. And that some of the responsibilities that are handed down to committee members would be impacted if we limited the size of the board because we would have less talent to draw from.
I'll agree.
That what you got out of it, Bill? I mean, I want to minimize what you got to say.
No.
here, so.
If we minimize, it won't be to our advantage. We've got a good working group right now, and a good cross-section of members, and it's to our advantage just to stay where we are.
I'll agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Motion for adjournment?
So be.
Okay, Darren, second. All in favor? Stand. Thank you all. That concludes our meeting.